So is this saying true or it's not? This is the joys of having sort of grown-up children who are still these sort of in digital natives. They play and they just sort of post this stuff on the family chat. But I thought this was a good one. Okay, true or false?
That's true.
True.
It's all about the word nothing, of course. Nothing with an N or G. A bit more deep than that. And yes, last night, Ginny and I, we had a surreal experience. We went to a youth club. Went to Glow, and that's the youth club that Swithin's run. And Ian and Sarah, they decided to throw it open to the adults by banishing all the kids. So all the children, all the parents of the children, the youth who go, they came instead. And it was fascinating seeing Ian and Sarah in operation. Sarah is a youth worker, and she couldn't help it. She was bossing all the adults round. She had that sort of like youth worker sort of mode around her sort of thing. Whereas Ian was the true vicar, wandering around there, just networking, circulating, making sure everyone was being chatted to, making sure everyone felt at home. And I must admit, whether Ian had a red can, there was a red can of beer on sale last night. I'm not sure whether you brought one over with you. No? Okay, fine. Just checking, sorry. Now, I want you to talk to each other in this scenario. So, last night was the very first one of this adult youth club, and all the adults there, you can see being transported back 20 odd years to when they were maybe in a youth club. And I want you to imagine and to have a conversation with each other. If one of these adults had a sort of, when Ian was circulating, when Sarah's being herself, and they said to them, go on, tell me what God is like. What would you say? What do you think Sarah or Ian might say in response to that? Let's do that, shall we? Off you go. Chat. It's your permission to chat. Haven't got too wrong, alright? I was told keep it short. I have to church. Again, I have to talk after church. Go for hours. Talk you two. I'm looking at you. Yeah. So, any answers? What would you suggest? What would you say? Now, I'm quite deaf, so I'll do this here, that's a better ear. What would your answer be? What do you suggest? Suggestions to answer, suggestions. Any suggestions? Got it?
Everything.
Okay. Hello?
You want me to say all?
No. If I give John that option, he will. You got it.
Jesus.
Jesus. Yes, all the squirrels, the old joke goes, yeah. No, he doesn't know that joke. Doesn't know that joke. Wow, that's an old joke. That shows how young he is. Anyone else? Sorry? Amazing. When I was, say, a youngster, people, when you ask that question, what is God like? They tend to do what's called spoken about God from above. They do the big things. They're like omniscient or omnipotent or omnipresent. Do you know the big things sort of stuff? Well, actually, it's quite right. You speak about who God is like from what's called from below. You speak about this person, Jesus. And this is, at Christmas time, my church has fed up this picture. Every year I will drag this picture in somewhere or other. This is the Adoration of the Shepherds by a man called Van Hornthorst. And it speaks about the description of who Jesus is in art. Describes him from below. To see what God is like. When Jesus, when Philip was chatting with Jesus, And he said to him, "Show us the Father." And Jesus' answer is?
That is squirrel.
Sorry?
That is squirrel.
That is squirrel. Have you not seen me? If you not seen me, you seek the Father. We always think about Jesus, we think about who God is like by starting from below. And of course, this of Adoration of Shepherds rooted in Luke 2, but actually reflecting more John chapter 1. The Word became alive and the Word who was God and was always with God became flesh and dwelt among us, and the whole light of the world imagery there. Because I say to the kids when I showed at school, did Jesus really glow like this? And they understand that. He didn't. Because I know sort of Chloe glows a lot, especially early in the morning. They wanted to get attention. But no child actually literally glows. But when we think about Jesus, when we actually ask that question, who is God like? What is God like? As we said, if we look to Jesus. Oh, video. And it's an old video. And it's lots of fun. There we go. Over to you. Thank you. Lots of volume, please. Has to be volume.
Wow, it's dark in here. Wow, and now it's too bright.
2702, Elizabeth Decker interrogate.
Wow.
State your name, please.
Kari McKeon. It's like Carrie only with a K instead of a C and an A instead of an E, and only one R and an I instead of an I.
Tell me about the incident.
Well, it started out like any normal sitting gig, with the reassuring of the parents and all. Mrs. Park, I can totally handle anything this baby can dish out. You can handle it. Mrs. Park? Mrs. Park? Oh, she knows your intelligence. Now who's ready for some neurological stimulation? It's time for cognitive development. Oh, the little baby. Where's the hiding, huh? That was really weird. Wait, right here. Hello, Mrs. Parr, this is Kari. I have a question about Jack Jack. Can you call me? No! Jack Jack? Baby? Where are you? Where are you? Mrs. Parr, it's me, Jack Jack is fine, but weird things are happening and you need to tell me what to do, because I don't. How'd you get away? We're gonna calm things down a bit now and look at flashcards. Won't that be fun? Triangle. Good. House. Good. Campfire.
Is this the Parr's residence?
Yes, I'm Kari, the babysitter.
Well, hello, Kari. I am.
You're my replacement. Thank heaven you come. What does that stand for?
For sitter. Yeah, sitter. Originally, I was going to have initials for babysitter, but then I would have been going around wearing a big BS, and you understand why I couldn't go with that.
And you believed him.
The baby was exploding. Whoever said an exploding baby before Mr. Dicker? What's that?
You told anyone else about this? Your parents?
Yeah, they thought I was being funny. But you believe me, don't you, Mr. Dicker?
Sure, kid.
I just wish I could forget the whole thing.
You will, kid. You will.
that she is a fantastic babysitter. So, such devotion. There we go. Why did Jack, that's the moment over there the eyes change. Why did Jack change? What triggered? Pay attention.
Music.
The music. What was the music? Oh, I thought you were cultured in. I really did.
No, we went to Francis school.
I was at primary school, yes. Music. Mozart. Why is Mozart important? There is a myth, urban myth. If you played your child Mozart when they were asleep, they became intelligent as Mozart. Alright? There we go. Pay attention. Yeah. That's a myth. If you play a child Mozart, they'll become as intelligent as the genius that Mozart actually was. And of course, that is an absolute load of rubbish. And then we think about who God is. We think about Christmas time, think about the light of the world coming into human form. We enter into something that is pushing our understanding. And, oh, that's so confident. There we go. So, this quote here by C.S. Lewis. It's true. We think about in 1977, there's a book published called The Myth of God Incarnate, edited by a man called John Hick, and it's a collection of essays about modern theologians saying that the incarnation cannot have happened because that is not what God is like. They began with a God from above, and you can't squeeze that sort of God into human form. Therefore, the incarnation can't be literally true. It's a myth. In the sense of it tells a truth about what God is like, to describe who God is like, but it's something that might be there to describe God. But as C.S. Lewis here says, actually no. In the story, Joseph and of course Mary, they knew exactly where babies came from. And it's entering into this bigger story, this bigger understanding, this more like this vastness of our exploring who God is. Well, there's another quote by this man called Raja Rahman Roy. Now, if you live in Bristol, you will know all about Mr. Roy, won't you?
No.
No? Okay. Last year, our younger daughter graduated from the University of West England in Bristol, went to Bristol Cathedral for her graduation. Guess whose statue is outside Bristol Cathedral, Ian? It is his. And actually, I was completely astonished. Mr. Roy, he was a translator. He was involved by the British missionaries in India to translate scripture. And of course, they went through the Gospels. Mr. Roy, he was a Hindu. And his idea of who God is like is why he wrote that. Because who he thought what God was like had no connection with how Christians explore and understand who God is like in breastfeeding, washing, cleaning, winding, and rocking their God to sleep. If you know anything about Hindus, people like say Krishna became a human being in the sense that he was a God who dressed himself in clothes like we wear clothes. But they weren't really part and parcel of who he was. He was a deity, but had no connection to humanity at all. Whereas we hold on to this extraordinary connection of this child being how we understand who God is like. And when we share Jesus, when we speak about him like Ian or Sarah might do at Glow, it is about introducing them into not a set of statements of belief, but a story for them to explore. I was just about to click that, you know, and it died. I'll ask the question, what's the film? He said, hopefully. No. No, it's not that film, no. What's the film? Life. So, 45 years ago this month, The Life of Brian was released. And Julian Doyle, he was the main editor for the film. This is what he said. He wrote this quote last week when they interviewed him about the film The Life of Brian. And that's an extraordinary statement, because I don't think actually he's read the Bible, or maybe even really wants to explore what we as Christians believe the Bible is telling and speaking in describing this story. And can we do the picture again of the Nativity, please? In this picture here, the picture of this child in a manger, glowing like a very, very bright light bulb, it's inviting us, his people, to enter into the vastness of exploring and seeking to know more and more. When we share Jesus, we do not share a complete understanding, the finished product, where there's a full stop. We invite people to say, come with us to share the journey of always knowing, exploring more and more of who and of what this God is like. This God who is Father, Son, and Spirit. This God who is vaster than our understanding. The God who we know in our heads. The God who we know in our hearts. The God who we know in our hands. I'll check some this morning. She has been involved in churches who have ministry with alcoholics. And they are a demanding part of our community. And she was saying that once a father who was an alcoholic became a Christian. He went back and forth, he went back into alcohol, then came out again, back and forth, a bit like a yo-yo. When he was baptised in the River Derwent, his daughter rang her up and ranted for ages, effing and blinding at her, because when he became a Christian, he had been a Buddhist, and she urged him to break all the statues of the Buddha that he had. And the daughter rang and was angry because she considered them heirlooms to be passed on, not destroyed. Well, going down a few years later, when this man had gone back and forth, near Jesus, away from Jesus, near the bottle, away from the bottle, once when he had a huge relapse, the place where he lived was a pigsty. And the church, they went and they cleaned his whole room. This lady said that her son, who was 17, he went into this man's toilet and he said, "Mum, don't drink in here." Because of his alcoholism, he had no control over when he wanted to use the toilet. He just used anything in that toilet, and even at times the toilet. And this lad, he cleaned the whole place up, making it stick and stand brand new. The daughter rang this woman again. She said, "Why did you do this? Why did your son," doesn't know my dad, "why did he clean my dad's toilet?" Because none of his family would go near the place because it's so disgusting. "Why did you do it?" And her answer was, like Elliot said, because of Jesus. And much like the early church, they were renowned when the flames came to cities. And everyone ran away, those who were affluent, and left the poor and the slaves behind. It was the Christians who stayed, who nursed and who ministered. And when they're asked, why do you do this? They said, because of Jesus. And people say, tell me about this Jesus who you believe. So all of us are in a story, an invitation to journey wherever this Jesus leads us, with our hearts, our heads, our hands, demonstrating him, showing him. But others may come to journey with us as our companions along this road, that they may teach us about Jesus as they get to know him, as much as we help them to discover the Jesus we've made known for many years. I came a Christian 2 months before The Life of Brian came out. I'm a Monty Python fan. I grew up in Monty Python. And I found nothing in that film offensive. I do now, actually. But apart from the song Eric Idle sings on the cross, that is offensive. Because it's nonsense. Because the cross is far, far greater than that. But it's an invitation for all of us at Christmas time. When we think about that story, more than we can understand, greater than we can understand, invites us to be people who remind us, oh, God dwells in me, as we've been singing. May that God be seen in us, and others may want to ask, hopefully they'll ask Ian and Sarah, tell me about this God whom you believe.